You are listening to the 20th edition anniversary of the Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network. And now your host, Caleb Turner.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the 20th edition anniversary of the Caleb Turner Talk Show, May 4th, 2013. I guess you could call it a special edition here on this Saturday afternoon as we celebrate the 20th edition anniversary of this talk show, which began December 22nd, 2012. And every week we've done a broadcast, and I know, Bob, it seems like, man, it's tough, I know, but we have a good time with it. And highlights of today's broadcast: the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Vancouver Canucks, and I'm stunned. It felt like I got kicked in the gut last night when Raffi Torres scored in overtime on that 2-on-1. But we'll get to that and more. The Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network 20th edition anniversary rolls on after this.
The Vancouver Canucks play the San Jose Sharks in Game 3 live from the Shark Tank HP Pavilion, live from San Jose, California, tomorrow night. Puck drop at 7:30. You can hear the full play-by-play right here on the Anchor Radio Network. You are listening to the Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network. And now your host, Caleb Turner.
We're back live right here on the Anchor Radio Network, May 4th, 2013, 20th edition anniversary. Live on this sunny Saturday afternoon from Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. Here in our downtown Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada studios. It's a beautiful day. I mean, it's just, you couldn't have asked for a better day for the things that we did today here at the Anchor Radio Network. The Wheel to Heel here in Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, Port Moody took place today, and I participated in that event. The 100-kilometer bike ride of this event. And we had a good time doing that. 5 hours and 23 minutes and 50-some-odd seconds. From Coquitlam Center to Fort Langley and back. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But we got a broadcast right here of the 20th edition anniversary of the Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network. The Anchor Radio Network's been going on now for about 2 years. And make that 3 years. I'm sorry, 3 years. Got this big 3 flashing at me here by Bob over there in the corner. 3 years at the Anchor Radio Network, and they've been covering the Burnaby Grizzlies for 3 years. And various news updates from around, primarily in New Westminster, actually. This has been where all the live news updates have taken place from the Anchor Radio Network. It was about December, somewhere in December, the first part of December. Producers of the Anchor Radio Network called me up and said, hey, you do the play-by-play for the Burnaby Grizzlies and their game highlights, and also you do the news updates as well for the Anchor Radio Network whenever they happen, which isn't much, but hey, I mean, it happens once in a while. I think we had one from 2011, and I think there was one in 2012. And they called me up and asked me, hey, do you want to start a talk show? And, the Caleb Turner Talk Show will call it, obviously on the Anchor Radio Network, and, we'll see how it goes. And, the rest is history. December 22nd, 2012, the very first broadcast of the Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network, and we're 20 editions in. And we got no plans to stop. Upcoming schedules, we've got Caleb Turner Talk Show from Uganda, West Africa. That's on the Doppler radar. Special editions from Uganda, West Africa. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be fun to do those, and we're going to have a special guest. A fellow talk show host there at the Lighthouse Radio Network, our sister station that's been going on now for about 2.5, 3 years. Lighthouse Radio Network, yeah, about the same. Started around the same time, but Chris Vesna will be joining us, the talk show host, one of the talk show hosts of the Lighthouse Radio Network. He is coming along on the journey, the missions trip to Uganda, West Africa. It's going to be fun. And I'm sure everybody will be looking forward to hearing what goes on that talk show. We're going to be, sheltered from the world when we go to Uganda. The Stanley Cup Finals will be probably going on while we're there. So we're going to probably miss the Stanley Cup Finals. Well, we will. It's guaranteed. For the first time in ever, I'm actually not going to see a Stanley Cup Final game live unless we get the satellite fixed there in Uganda. We'll see. We'll see how that works. Maybe we can watch a feed of it on the internet, a pirated edition. Maybe Bob can set me up. Bob will not be coming onto the journey. He'll be running all the stops and switches and buttons and whistles back here in control, Coquitlam, British Columbia. And we'll be setting it all up on our own in Uganda, so that ought to be interesting how that works. 20th edition anniversary. Every 10 editions, we always try to highlight some things that has happened in the Anchor Radio Network's 3-year history. They were there live when the Burnaby Grizzlies won their first bronze medal. Was it March 3rd, 2012? March 2nd? March 4th. I think it was March 4th. March 4th, 2012, the Burnaby Grizzlies won their first bronze medal at the Don Bosco 3-on-3 tournament. And then this March. March 2nd, 2013, the Burnaby Grizzlies won their second consecutive bronze medal at the Don Bosco 3-on-3 tournament. Pretty good tournament that was. I mean, I had a privilege of being there and, of course, participating in the event as a member of the Burnaby Grizzlies. But entertainment at its best. I mean, these guys really put forth all the effort, and, of course, the Anchor Radio Network was there. And, of course, you got the play-by-play of their 2 wins. And, of course, the radio edition of 2 years ago of the bronze medal win 2 years ago in March. My speech is a little slurred because of the exhaustion that is set in from today's biking activity. Bear with me as we go through today's talk show topics. 2 topics, and we might brush up on the Whitecaps and the Mariners possibly. We'll get to the Mariners later, but the Mariners are feasting on the Toronto Blue Jays so far in these first 2 games that they've played. And they're just smacking them. It's hilarious. Like today they won 8-1 and he had a grand slam and then 2 other solo shots by Michael Saunders. We'll get to it later. Right now going on, the Detroit Red Wings and the Anaheim Ducks playing in Game 3 of the Best of 7 series there in the Western Conference quarterfinals from the Joe and Detroit, Michigan. Ann Arbor. Is it Ann Arbor? Gotta look that one up. Gotta find out if it is. I think it's Ann Arbor because the big house in the Joe. I don't know. We'll find out. That game, last time we checked, was tied 0-0. Also going on right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins going at it. Best of 7 series is 1-0 Boston. And the last time we checked, it was 2-1 Toronto. Go Leafs. I mean, I want to see Canadian teams advance. It's too bad the Sens and the Habs had to play. The Habs have to play each other. It's too bad. You know, I want to see as many Canadian teams advance. That's what we're all about here. You know, I mean, yeah, we're pro Canucks and we're Canuck fans, and you know we're diehards, technically diehards. I mean, I'm a diehard. I felt like I got kicked in the gut, like I said earlier. I felt like I got kicked in the gut last night when Raffi Torres scored in overtime. It literally felt like Raffi Torres took his stick and shoved it into my gut when he scored that goal. Because basically the Vancouver Canucks are done. Basically. I mean, I have faith that they can come back, but it's a faint faith. Look, the Boston Bruins won 4 out of 5 2 years ago against the Vancouver Canucks in the Stanley Cup Final. That was the Boston Bruins. We're the Vancouver Canucks, and for some reason the last 2 years and 1 series there in the Stanley Cup Final, we just can't seem to get it done. I know we won 3 games against Boston. They were all on home ice. I mean, but we've lost our last 4 straight home games. Make that 5. We lost 5 straight home games. Forgot, we lost all 3 against LA. And then, of course, the one against Boston there in Game 7, and now we've lost these 2. So we've actually lost 6 straight playoff home games. 6 straight playoff home games. Like, we can't win at home. And down the stretch, I know it was a shaky stretch finish. They lost to the Ducks. They lost to the Oilers back-to-back games. Separating by 2 days. They lost to the Ducks and always. So technically we've lost, from this season, we've lost 3 straight games on home ice. God. When was the last time that's happened? 3 straight times on home ice. I don't know if that happened this year. I mean, it may have, but I don't remember it. And what's so sad is that Roberto Luongo played 2 games, and he was honestly lights out in both of those games. You know, he had a bad bounce on one of the goals there against San Jose in the first game, and it was kind of a shaky goal last night. But I mean, come on, the guy stood on his head. The guy made 2, 3, 4, 5 world-class saves last night. Luongo did enough for the Canucks to win. The Canucks did not do enough for the Canucks to win. And it's too bad, but Mike Gillis and Alain Vigneault's job are on the line. And for that matter, Noel Brown, his job's on the line. And Rick Bowness's job's on the line. I mean, I don't know where you... I know these guys have been together for years, and it seems like, why would you break apart the team now? Maybe it is the coaching. I think Vigneault's one of the best coaches in the league. And in the last 7 years, I think he's been one of the best coaches in the league, period. He's won a Jack Adams. He's made it to the Stanley Cup final once. He's won divisions like every year. I think he's only missed the playoffs once. For the Vancouver Canucks, 1 time? Are you serious? I know Mike Babcock, he's made the playoffs every year. It's not like they've won the division every year, but they made the playoffs. The playoffs? Yeah, the playoffs. But Alain Vigneault's job is definitely on the line right now. Definitely on the line. And it ticks me off as a Canucks fan because we're going to see another regular season. Because I follow the Canucks every year. I'm a diehard fan. I watch every game that I'm home. Every game is watched. It doesn't mean all of it's watched. I'll watch, I try to watch at least 1 period of every game. And usually it's 2, and most of the time it's all 3. But I'm telling you, I watched bits and pieces live of probably 41 or 42 of the 48 games this season. And last season, and the season before that, I watched probably 78 to 80 of the 82 games live. Bits and pieces of it. And in those games that I couldn't watch, I was listening to on the radio. I'm a diehard fan. I've been a diehard fan for, 8 years? 2005, it was, make that 9 years, because it was the year before the lockout I became a fan. And then they had the lockout, and I was ticked off as a Canucks fan. Come on, guys, now we're going to lose it all. We're going to lose all the chemistry that we made before the lockout. But my goodness, I mean, there's a lot of players' jobs on the line. There's a lot of coaches. All the coaches' jobs are on the line. I mean, if this ends in a sweep, which definitely has the capabilities of that, it definitely has the capabilities of ending in a sweep. And for all matter, the Canucks have only scored 2 goals in this series. And technically, they've only scored 1 because the second Kessler goal was a giveaway by Joe Pavelski right to Kessler's tape. And because he's been on fire that game, and he's been on fire the last several games, but he really revved it up a notch in that set. I mean, oh my goodness. The hit on Irwin. Was it Irwin? I don't think it was Irwin. I think it was Braun. Yeah, that's right, Braun. He literally took out Braun, and then he tells the San Jose Sharks there's more where that came from. And he scores both goals in the third. The gang's all here. Hey, we're all having a good time. And then the Canucks couldn't close it out several times to clear the zone. They had a chance at the empty net. The puck went the wrong way. 55 seconds. Actually, no, it was a little over a minute. And then at 5 was in a minute 6. I mean, who cares? They were under 2 minutes from tying the series at 1. And the Canuck fans, all Canuck fans across the world, breathing a sigh of relief. And even if they win that game, there's still some questions to be asked. But, I mean, hey, if you can get a split on home ice and finally break the streak of, at that time, 5 consecutive losses on home ice in the playoffs, you're doing pretty good. And especially against a San Jose team that played decent in the first game. They didn't play very well last night. I mean, the San Jose Sharks are just getting lucky. Nobody can honestly tell me that the San Jose Sharks' defense and forechecking is what's costing the Canucks. The Canucks are shooting themselves in the foot with just 22 rifle. 22 rifle. They're killing themselves. They're self-imploding. And the goalie's been playing great. This, again, like I've said this before, this is so resemblant to the 2006, 2007 regular season. It's either 06, 07, or 07, 08. We'll have to confirm that. Where Luongo stood on his head. It was a Vezina candidate. And did he not win the Vezina? They made it to the second round of the playoffs and lost 4-2 to the Ducks. I mean, and Luongo stood on his head the whole season. They had no goal scoring. Nothing. I think the Sedin Twins had like 82 points each. They were a point-a-game people, but that was it. That was the only point-generating offense that the Canucks had. And last night you see Ryan Kesler. This is the Ryan Kesler. This is the player that we missed in the regular season for a good portion of the regular season. If you have Ryan Kesler on your team in the regular season, we're definitely the number 2 seed in the league. In the West. Definitely, probably. Well, we'd be pushing Pittsburgh if Kesler was in the lineup. And I know we're all I'm speculating with something that's not even possible. But still, fact of the matter is, the Canucks are definitely a lot better when Ryan Kesler's in the lineup. And when he scores, the Canucks are even better in the lineup. But in the playoffs, you don't get a point in overtime. You gotta win. And the Canucks just did not have enough. Yeah, okay, they blew the lead in the third period. You gotta win in overtime. No questions asked. Hands down, you have to win. You cannot afford to lose that game after blowing it. You have to be able to go into the locker room and someone has to stand up and say, hey, we're not losing this game in overtime. We are not. I am putting my foot down. We're not going to lose. I don't know. I am honestly at a loss of words. I have a feeling this is going to be another long off season for the Vancouver Canucks. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them go over to the World Championships. Maybe they will. I don't know. Nobody can give me the excuse that the Canucks are tired. Oh, please. Cry me a river. Cry me a river and make your own paper boat and put the paper boat up the river. Blow bubbles in the river while you're at it. The Canucks are not tired. 48-game season. They've had their injuries. So that means the players that are on the lineup right now have had rest. Higgins, Kesler, Bieksa. They all had their rest. They're fine. And I know we're missing Tanev, but Corrado's played pretty good. I mean, for a guy who comes in as a rookie, his first, it's third or fourth game. Game 1 was his 4th career NHL game. Game 2 was his 5th career NHL game. The guy's got a cannon and he's got a body. He's not that good on his skates yet, but it comes with time. And I know Jordan Schrader's on the trip to San Jose and speculation that he might play. I don't know. I hope he does, but I don't know. Alain Vigneault has lost my confidence. He's lost my trust as a Canucks fan. I don't know. I mean, last night, anybody else but Raffi Torres scores, and I've been preaching this for a long time on the show that the minute the Canucks lost Raffi Torres and Christian Ehrhoff, they became just another average team. They made it to the Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals because of the grit that they had. And it wasn't much. Of course, against Boston, they had no grit, but they had grit against Chicago. They had grit against Nashville. They had grit against San Jose, and then they just collapsed against Boston. But they had the grit to get there. They didn't have enough in the series against Boston, but they had it in the previous 3 series. That's why they won back-to-back President's Trophies. Last year they got a little bit lucky with the way things worked out, but because, Sidney Crosby got hurt, so Pittsburgh wasn't up there, and I mean, Raffi Torres, I think, is one of the reasons why we weren't successful in the playoffs last year, and it looks like we aren't going to be successful in the playoffs this year. We lost Christian Ehrhoff. We lost one of our best offensive scorers on the defense. But he wasn't just an offense. He was not just an offensive defenseman. He was a defensive defenseman. And that's what we've honestly lacked this year. A defenseman that steps up and plays defense. We got these 15 to 20 point defensemen. Come on. We don't need that. We need defense. The goalie can't stand back there by himself and save everything. I know Jason Garrison's played pretty good, and Dan Hamhuis is Dan Hamhuis. Plays okay, but last night, the worst Canuck on the ice was Alexander Edler. I'm an Edler fan. I like what he does with the puck, and this year he's definitely not been the same player that he was last year. He kind of showed signs of collapsing late in the season, and he just had nothing. Beginning of the season last year, he was on fire and on pace to break records. And even this year, at the beginning of the season, he was on pace to break records and possibly be the Norris Trophy winner. Possibly. But Alex Edler looked like a baby last night on skates. He looked like a baby. If we're going to point to somebody, the reason why the Canucks lost last night, I'm pointing right to Alex Edler. Yeah, he's the reason why they scored the game-winning goal. He pinched and missed the puck and waltzed back into the zone. But behind the net in his own zone, I mean, he whinnied the puck. Like he tapped the puck. Like he just had nothing. There's no strength to look like he was lethargic or something. Like he was easy to be bumped off the puck. So for the Canucks to get back in this series, Alex Edler's got to be better. The Sedins have to finish because, last night they had 2 open nets. Daniel Sedin hits it right into the glove. Alex Burrows missed a wide open net. Sedins and Burrows have to finish. I don't want to see chances. I want to see finished product. I want to see a W. If they can get one game in San Jose, they have a chance. They got to get this first one, though. Well, I don't know. Maybe they don't necessarily need to win this first one. The diehard fan will say, well, they have to win every game. But let's think about it. You go down 3-0 and you win Game 4, you've got the momentum going into Game 5. I know it's on home ice, and I know the Canucks have honestly stunk on home ice in the playoffs the last 2 years. But, hey, you got the momentum, and maybe you'll get a lucky bounce, and then you're 3-2, and then you go back to San Jose, and anything can happen in Game 6s. Anything happens in Game 6s. And you have a chance because you got momentum for the last 2 games that you've won. Whereas you win this third game, you've got the momentum going into Game 4. But let's say something goes wrong in Game 4 and you lose, you're down 3-1 going home, and you got 0 momentum. You got nothing going for you. You're going home to a raucous Rogers Arena, which, by the way, had a lot of empty seats in Game 2. Canuck fans will show their displeasure. They aren't going to just boo and litter the ice. They will not come to the games. I'd come to any playoff game that I'm offered. I'm not going to pay money to go to a playoff game unless I'm, really want to go see one. I've never been to a playoff game, by the way, before. 9 years of being a Canucks fan, and I've never been to a Canucks playoff game. And they've been to the playoffs, like, in those 9 years, 6 out of 9? 7 out of 9 years they've been to the playoffs. Never gone. All I'm saying is, a lot of things have to happen for the Vancouver Canucks to win this series. The odds are not great, winning 4 out of the next 5. It almost seems impossible. The Washington Capitals moving on to the rest of the series. Washington Capitals take a 2-0 series lead with an overtime game winner by Mike Green on the power play. A lot of controversy there with pucks getting flipped over the glass a no call earlier in the game, and then the call against the Rangers in overtime cost them the game. And of course, John Tortorella was not happy about the first one. On the replay, he clearly put it over there, but the NHL released a statement saying that he tipped it over the glass. It's still over the glass. In my eyes, that's still a delay game penalty. St. Louis Blues shocked everybody by winning both games on home ice over the defending Stanley Cup champs LA Kings. 2-0 series lead going into Game 3 tonight. If the Blues win, that series is automatically done. Chicago Blackhawks have probably already won the series. They're up 2-0 going to Game 3 in Minnesota tomorrow. But I'll tell you, Patrick Kane made an absolutely incredible move on whoever he made the move on. And then the behind-the-back no-look pass to Patrick Sharp was a beaut. Leafs and Bruins, like we said, going on right now. You got the Pens and the Isles. Boy, what a series this is. The Pittsburgh Penguins, I know there's a series that's better than the Penguins and the Islanders, but last night the Pittsburgh Penguins got off to an incredible start. Sidney Crosby, first game back in a long time since he broke his jaw and lost several teeth, gets 2 goals in the first period, and the Penguins still lose the game 4-3. The New York Islanders looked absolutely fantastic in Game 2. They outshot the Penguins, which takes a lot to outshoot the Penguins because they got a lot of firepower. So the Islanders have a chance. They got the split on the road going back to Long Island. Game 3 is tomorrow. The Ducks and the Wings going on right now. The Sens and the Habs, the series right now, the playoffs. So much controversy, so much just drama, so much everything. Lars Eller, of course, getting TKO'd by Luke Griva. It was a Luke Griva. And it was a dirty hit in my eyes. I mean, it wasn't a meant-to-be dirty hit. You know, it was Bartholomew Diaz put him in a bad position, and of course being referred to right now as player 61 by Coach McLean of the Senators. But all I'm saying is it was definitely a suspendable hit. I think he got the amount of games. After I watched the replay a couple times, the puck did hit his stick, hit Eller's stick, so he was a fair game player. I thought the hit was a little high. You know, he said it was shoulder on shoulder. It looked like it was a shoulder on shoulder, but just the maliciousness of the hit and costing Lars Eller probably the rest of the playoffs and possibly his career on the line now with that injury. I mean, it literally was a pool of blood on the ice, and he was out cold. He got stretchered off to a hospital, got released from the hospital. I don't know anything else about Lars Eller, but all I'm saying is that series has got a lot of hate. And you had Brandon Prust calling out the Coach McLean from the Senators. You know, Brandon Prust of the Montreal Canadiens calling him a a bug-eyed fat walrus. Yeah, he called the other coach a big fat bug-eyed walrus. Wow. Very kind and considerate. The war of words going on Ottawa and Montreal. Big rivalry there. Not inter-provincial, but neighboring provincial rivals. Caleb Turner Talk Show rolls on with the NBA next. This is the 20th edition of the Caleb Turner Talk Show radio on the Anchor Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You can get your 20th edition Caleb Turner Talk Show commemorative t-shirt right now on the AnchorRadioNetwork.ca. You can pick up that t-shirt for $9.99 plus shipping and handling and taxes as well. Once again, that's the $10 commemorative 20th edition Caleb Turner Talk Show t-shirt.
We're back live. Caleb Turner Talk Show 20th edition anniversary. May 4th, 2013. Got the BioFreeze joint pain reliever on right now. So excuse me if I slur any speech. I feel very low. My neck feels like it's frozen, and my fingers feel kind of frozen, and my knees are frozen. Taking away the pain, but increasing the chances of some slurred language. Slurred as in, like, New York Knicks. New York Knicks, Boston Celtics, LA Lakers, LA Lakers. Like that. That's what I mean by slurred. Not slurred as in racial slur. Imagine some people probably just thought that. The NBA playoffs second round is official. The seedings are set. The matchups are set. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Gotta say that one more time. The mic kind of moved on me. So here's the scoop. It's a deep scoop. For the first time in several years, the City of Los Angeles will not have a basketball team in the second round. And honestly, I'm not sad. You know, I mean, I'm not really a Well, I am a Lakers fan. I was really sad when they lost 4-0. But I'm more of a Kobe Bryant fan. And I'm sad for Kobe that he had to literally watch his team implode from the inside out. He had nothing. Absolutely nothing going for them in that series. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. I mean, he had Pau Gasol doing his thing, but Pau Gasol can't win a game for a team. Kobe can, but Pau can't. He had double-double, didn't he have a triple-double one game? Pau Gasol triple-double with assists, rebounds, and points? Are you kidding me? Clippers losing 7 to Memphis. That's sad. It really is. I mean, no, they didn't lose in 7. They lost in 6. Yeah. Yeah, it was 4-2. They couldn't get it to a game 7. I'm not necessarily sad. I mean, I'm tired of seeing all these BG, Lob City slam dunks in the regular season. We didn't see any of those in the playoffs. There is no Blake Griffin court cuts on the score from the playoffs. The playoffs. Houston Rockets win back-to-back games, but couldn't get it to a game 7 out of home court. That's tough. It's honestly pretty sad. I mean, if you can win in Oklahoma City, you should be able to win on home court, correct? Seeing as how nothing really changed for Oklahoma City. They still were without Russell Westbrook. But that's just my opinion. Denver Nuggets lose to Golden State in 6. I'm a little shocked. I mean, Golden State was without their star center for every game but game 6. He played like a minute and a half. But I'm shocked. I am. I'm deeply shocked that Denver lost considering all the guns Denver has. Marcus Gasol, Zebo, Zach Randolph. You got Ty Lawson, Corey Brewer, Pondexter. So, for me, seeing... They don't have Pondexter. Pondexter's with Memphis. What am I thinking? That's funny. But for me, when I look at Denver's roster, I say, whoa. I mean, they got a good team. And then you look at Golden State and you think, they got a pretty good team too. Steph Curry, you know. Jared Jack. Can't really think of anybody else. But, you know, the point is, both teams had, you know, decent teams. But I would have given the edge to Denver because of the center being out, Thompson. So, for me, I think, hey, Golden State got lucky. Game 6 was one of the best playoff games of the year. I mean, the thing went back and forth and back and forth, and then Golden State laid eggs in the fourth quarter. Couldn't get a basket and couldn't play defense. Both teams really couldn't make a shot, but Denver was making more and less often. Andre Iguodala with an incredible performance in that game. Just absolutely incredible. Going to the East, the Boston Celtics losing 6 to the Knicks. I'm not shocked. I think the sad part is Boston lost on home court. That's kind of sad. Especially considering that they beat the Knicks in New York. Twice. No. They won one on home and one in New York. Yeah, that's right. The Bucks, of course, as we mentioned last week, swept by the Miami Heat. No shock. Everybody picked a sweep there. Who picked the Bucks to win a game? If the Bucks would have won a game, it would have been their NBA championship. One win against Miami, and you've won the NBA championship. The Atlanta Hawks lose 4-2 to Indiana. I'm not necessarily shocked. That was the snoozer series of the playoffs. I mean, you look at the crowds at the Phillips Arena, and the name of the Indiana arena slips me right now. But you look at the crowds, I mean, they were dead. The crowds were dead in all those games. Just not in it. No spirit. Absolutely nothing. I mean, the Miami fans were more spirited than any of those fans. It's Indiana and Atlanta. You'd think, well, hey, Miami fans, they just won a championship. You'd think that they'd be a celebratory. No. Are you kidding me? It's the first round. It's the Bucks. You don't start cheering loudly as a fan until the second round if you have a successful team. That's why you saw many, many empty seats at Rogers Arena last night, because they're expected to get to the second round. But they haven't proved anything this year. And that's why you see many sections empty at the Joe Louis Arena, because they've just won too many times. It's almost like, oh, well, why go to a first round game? They're going to win, you hope. And then, of course, the Nets and the Bulls. The Bulls win with Joakim Noah with plantar fasciitis. He's been playing with pins and needles in his feet, basically, is what he compares it to for the last, month and a half. And he's led this team into the playoffs, minus D Rose. But why even mention D Rose? He hasn't been around for like a year and a half to 2 years. You got him sitting over on the bench in a suit. He's like the world's highest paid assistant coach. The Bulls could go deep if Rose comes back. Of course, they're playing Miami now, so not much of a chance. But, if Rose comes back, which they've been saying Rose might come back for a long time. Rose is technically capable of coming back. But he doesn't want to come back yet. He wants to make sure that he gives himself enough time to make sure his injury is healed. But, come on, it's the playoffs. I know you're risking your future, but it's now or never for your team. This could be it. But that's just my opinion. This whole entire thing is my opinion. Good night. Come on. Switching gears, Whitecaps, Real Salt Lake, the Real Salt... See what I say? My speech is slurred. Real Salt Lake wins 2-0. I'm a Caps fan. I've never been to a game before. Well, I went to a game when they weren't in the MLS. This was like 3 or 4 years. Longer than that. Probably 5 or 6 years ago. When Martin Nash was playing for the Whitecaps. That was a long time ago. But they lose 2-0 today, and this season's really not been a very good one for Vancouver. I'm hoping to go to a game in the summer. We'll see how that works out. Possibly an outing with a bunch of men in our church. We might go to a Whitecaps game at the end of the year. For the Mariners, they blow out the Toronto Blue Jays today, 8-1. R.A. Dickey having another pretty bad performance. And he's having one of the biggest struggles to an opening season with a new team. I think the biggest struggles any pitcher's ever had transitioning to a new team. He just hasn't had it. Today, Dustin Ackley gets a grand slam. Michael Saunders has 2 solo shots himself. That's already 6 runs, and the Jays just couldn't do really anything. They got 1 run, but, you got Iwakuma, who's throwing a dagger for the Seattle Mariners. And last night, you had Felix Hernandez throwing a dagger for the Mariners. So, what I see is right now, the Mariners, 17-21, are still a pretty bad team, but they were playing an even worse team the last couple games. We'll see if they can go for the sweep tomorrow. You would think the Blue Jays bats wake up here along the line. Bautista, Encarnacion, JP Arencibia, Brett Lawrie. You'd think the bats would wake up. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Maybe the Mariners can sweep the Blue Jays and get within 3 games of being from 500. I'm sure Eric Wedge would like that. Especially when you got Felix Hernandez, like I said, 8 innings strong and 9 Ks last night. Then Iwakuma with an even better performance. Well, not even better, but a pretty good performance today. Enough to secure the win and a blowout, 8-1. Wrapping up the show today, 20th edition anniversary, final little couple of minutes here. December 22nd, 2012. I told the story earlier at the top of the hour, how everything worked out. May 4th, 2013, and we're still putting a show out every week, once a week. New edition, every week. Fresh stuff. Well, it's fresh stuff. Pretty much fresh stuff. We never do any raw stuff. We never say the same thing. Well, we do say the same thing sometimes, but yeah, it's all following the stories in the week. Sometimes we'll bring up past stuff and talk about it and stew over it, like Game 7 of the 2011 Stanley Cup Final. But we're allowed to do that because this is a Canucks talk show, fan-based, listen to, network here at the Anchor Radio Network, and I'd like to thank everybody working behind the scenes. Bob right here behind me, my sound man, has been working with me all 20 editions, even called one edition. It was the second edition or the third edition that he was actually the broadcaster. He can't remember. That's sad. He can't remember what he called it when he did the show, the Caleb Turner Talk Show, and Bob was in for me because I was sick. I was under the weather. I couldn't do it. But anyways, and then Tom and Bill back at control, and our producer Tim as well. Sitting in studio today with me was Tim. And he is watching a YouTube video right now of a really crazy soccer goal. Wow. Scorpion. Nice. Again, like I said, that wraps up today's broadcast, May 4th, 2013. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the start. Well, this is the weekend, but have a good Sunday. Be in your place at church, and tomorrow afternoon, enjoy the games, the basketball games. Starting another series. And again, today, shortened edition, even though it was an anniversary edition due to the Wheel to Heal, lack of airtime as well on the Anchor Radio Network. But again, a great event today that we had, the Wheel to Heal, raising funds for the Eagle Ridge Hospital here in Port Moody. Yes. No, Port Coquitlam. It's one of those Pomo, Poco, or Coquitlam. I can't really remember where it's at. But anyways, that's our closest hospital. And, of course, raising funds for that. But remember, you know, we raise funds for events. We raise money for events. It's all good things. Remember that. You know, fighting for cure for cancer, great thing. Totally, fully support it. Definitely going to be one of the first people to sign up for a biking thing for that. It's going to be a little while before I do any biking again. But, you know, just remember, it's all about the heart, and it's all about getting out the gospel message. Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, where thieves do not break through and steal. Remember, it's a good thing for charities and stuff like that, but remember why we're here on earth, and that is to get the message, the gospel message, out to the lost and dying nation here, Canada, and of course the country to our south, the U.S. of A. And of course that's my home country, but home country, as Desi Arnaz would say on the I Love Lucy show. But anyways, that wraps it up for today, and have good services tomorrow. I know many of you, May 5th, 2013. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week.
You have been listening to a presentation of the Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network's 20th edition anniversary. Tune in every week for a new Caleb Turner Talk Show on the Anchor Radio Network.